I'm Matt Ellman, and you're listening to the Complete Confidence with Cambridge podcast. We've got lots of useful tips and tricks to help you plan your school year as you prepare your learners for their Cambridge English qualifications. Whether you've been teaching exam classes for years or just at the start of your teaching career, come along with us. We'll help you unpack the English language exam journey using our own real-life experience and easy-to-follow examples from the exam preparation course Complete. So, let's get started. Today's episode is brought to you by Olha Madylus. Olha has taught in the UK, Greece, Hong Kong and Venezuela. She's a freelance author, materials designer, consultant and teacher trainer, and her main focus is on understanding and motivating learners.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Oh, we're getting closer to the exam time now. How are you feeling? How are your students feeling? Oh, you might be getting a bit nervous, so this podcast hopefully will help you. Because what I'm looking at today is time management as we're leading up to the exams. And I think this is going to really be quite useful for you all. Now, the first suggestion I'm going to make to feel in control at this time is to get the students to make a calendar. Think about how much time you have before the exam and work out what you need to cover. Now, the easiest way for you to do this, if you look at the front of the teacher's book or the student's book, there is a very helpful breakdown of all the questions in the test and all the different parts. So you can see exactly what the students need to prepare for. Now, this is great because you can use this as a checklist. You can go through this and say, right, have we practiced this particular question? Are we clear about what we have to do in this part of the exam? And obviously get the students to tell you, remember to elicit from the students, say, what do you need to do? What do you need to remember? And using this as a checklist will really help to make sure that you don't leave anything out. It's so important that when the students come into that exam room, that they're not surprised, they're not confused by a question. They must have seen it before and they must be very clear about what kind of strategies they need to answer the exam. And this is super important for the word that I use so much, that's confidence. Going into that exam room confidently will really help the students do as well as they can. So once you've made your calendar, and I think it'd be really nice to actually have it up on the wall of your classroom. The students can have their own personal calendars too, but to put those, exam type questions on the wall so you can say, right, we've done this. Oh, we haven't done this. Let's make sure we do it. So what else do we do in the run up to the exams? Well, timed exam tasks are a really good way to practice. But they could sabotage the exam journey. I think it's very important that we gradually build up doing timed tasks. If the students do them too early, say right at the beginning of the course, they will get disappointing grades because they haven't learned all that language yet. And so even at this stage of the course, we have to really avoid what I call the cycle of failure. And the cycle of failure is when you get a bad result in something. So you do a listening test, for example, you get a bad grade, and then you feel that you can't do it. So here's our confidence coming in. If you feel you can't do something, the next time you do it, you will probably do worse. So we want our students to feel positive about things. Now, the best way of doing exam tasks is to actually do as many from the course book as possible, because the course book is designed to gradually build up the language and the skills that our students need. And there are lots of good lead-in activities to help them be ready. So they're graded and they're usually bite-size, so they're shorter. So this is a good way to do it. Obviously, do a few timed ones very close to the exam, but try to avoid doing too many long exam tasks like this. Also, dare I suggest it, get them to do exam practice collaboratively, in pairs or even small groups. This will really help them to get used to the tests in a stress-free way, but also to develop metacognition, because they can talk about what their answers are. They can talk about how do they find the answer to the question? Why have they given that answer? So think about doing that as well. Don't forget to think about homework when students are doing exam type tasks. This is a really good thing for them to do because they don't have to do it exactly under exam conditions. They can refer to their course book, they can use a dictionary, they can check grammar because they're building those skills. Obviously, as you get closer to the actual exam, they should be doing things much more under exam conditions, but they don't have to always do this. Remember, they're still learning, they're still developing their language. You can also, for homework, choose other tasks that are based on the exam. And remember, you don't have to use practice tests as such. There are lots of fabulous short tasks that you can use that refer to specific exam questions that you can find on cambridge.org. And you can also use tools like Test and Train and Write and Improve. If you don't know these already, do have a look at them, and they're so useful for your students to work on alone. I would also suggest getting the students to make their own personal checklists. It's really important that they take responsibility for their work and that they feel, again, they will feel much more confident and much more invested in the process. Just consider if a student has been sick maybe during the term and missed some lessons. Now, in that case, you're not going to cover all that material again, but if they're aware that they missed something, maybe a particular exam question that they haven't practiced very much, they can have that in their own personal checklist to make sure that they go and find that practice material and they do it on their own. I keep talking about building confidence, and it's really important. And I'm going to share a little tip that I use with my students. And that is praising them, but when they deserve praise. There's no point praising them when there's no reason. So I call this strategy catch them doing well. So keep an eye on them, monitor them, and when you see them doing something well or speaking very nicely in a practice task for speaking, really highlight that, point that out. At this stage, don't spend a lot of time criticizing them, correcting them. Really focus on those positives. And I've talked a lot about students taking responsibility. And some of you may think, well, they're only at Key, they're still quite young. It's never too early for students to start taking some responsibility, to becoming a bit more independent. If they start now, imagine what exam experts they will be by the time they get to B2. Just think of that. So, doing all these things, thinking about time management, making calendars and checklists, doing exam tasks at home, and building confidence, very, very important so that we can maximize the use of our time. Also, keep the pace positive as we come closer to the exams. And once we come to the exam and we're ready to take the exam, we want our students to be in success mode. So I hope that this will help you at this crucial time so we don't get into that sort of slump and very heavy feeling just coming up for the exams. And remember, if there's something you missed in this podcast, you can listen again. Good luck with the exams.
Let's recap.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast. I'm sure you've all been doing very, very nice work preparing for the exams. But as we get closer, I want to think about time management so we make the most of our time left to make sure we're as ready as possible. Hello, and thanks for joining me again.
That's it for today. Discover more episodes from this series on our website, cambridge.org/completeconfidence. We have podcast episodes for every level of the Cambridge exams. Come back and join us again soon. And don't worry, you've got this.
You've been listening to the Complete Confidence with Cambridge podcast, brought to you by Cambridge University Press and Assessment.